Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you my favorite books set in Ireland. Now when this goes live, I will be in Ireland. Some of you may know my husband is from Ireland. I will link above and below a video that we did together. And yeah, I just thought it would be a great time to do a themed video about books that I love that are set in Ireland. And yeah, so if you're going to Ireland and you want to read some Ireland set books while you're there, this would be good. Or if you're just a fan, either way, these are some of my favorites. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Yes, Binding 13. So this is set in Cork, which I have been to Cork. It's a place. But the Boys of Tommen series is set there. And it's basically, I'm not going to go into like the whole like synopsis of the whole books, but it's basically a sports romance, a rugby sports romance on the boys' side, on Johnny Kavanagh's side, and then Shannon like the river. Shannon's side, she is a girl that's kind of been like stunted by her upbringing and some like bad situations, bullying and stuff. And they have every reason why they like shouldn't like each other and pursue things, but they have feelings. And there's just a lot of, especially in the first book, there's a lot of outside forces coming for them, like separately. Johnny has an injury that he's trying to hide because he doesn't want it to set him back. And I just said I wasn't going to do synopsis, but I guess I lied. So yeah, it's set in Cork. It's funny because Chloe Walsh does put like a little like dictionary in the front of like all of like the kind of Irish slang that readers not from Ireland might be like, what are they talking about? Luckily, I've been exposed to a lot of it over the years, so that was fine for me. But I like how she had to like kind of like break down like all the slang because a lot of people wouldn't know what that meant. But it's set in Cork and some in Dublin, but with their different like football clubs and their rugby clubs and everything, like, and the weather, because Shannon gets drenched by the Irish weather like every 4 pages, I figure, like just, find an umbrella somewhere. But yeah, Ireland is very present in these books. The next book that's set in Ireland is such a beloved book to me, and that is Brooklyn by Colm. Tóibín. Wow, like really bad at that. But yes, it's called Brooklyn, but it's set in Ireland. Well, some of it is set in Ireland. But when it's not set in Ireland, when it's set in Brooklyn, like Ireland is still like an ever-present character, kind of ever-present influence. So Eilish, how do you say her name, is an Irish immigrant coming to New York, coming to Brooklyn for a job, because there's not really any like opportunities in Ireland for her. So she like through the Catholic Church, it's like a program where they bring her out to work at a store and like get her boarding, like work at the department store. And she's kind of really never been anywhere. So she shows up in Brooklyn. She's completely overwhelmed. She's extremely homesick. And it's just about her kind of finding her footing in Brooklyn and is this her home? Is she going to go back? Like Ireland is always like on her mind. She's writing her family all the time. And like, yeah, homesickness is a huge thing in a lot of the book. And just when she's starting to feel at home in Brooklyn, she has to go back to Ireland for a reason. And then she's really like pulled between the two places, like this new adult life. And like she has a job, she's got a job, she's going to school, she has friends, she maybe has a love interest, but there's a lot of stuff she left behind. And that now she can kind of like see it, like appreciate it. Yeah, so she's very much pulled between Brooklyn and in Ireland. So it's a beautiful book, and Ireland is a constant presence. The next book I want to mention is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Now, really, this can band out to pretty much anything Sally Rooney has written. I don't think I've read any of her books that are not set in Ireland. So if you read Normal People or you've read some of her other books, like, and you like that, they're all like more the same as far as the setting. So Ireland, they're all set in Ireland. But this particular one, I think, is her most popular. It was what got me into Sally Rooney, and I've loved everything she's written. She's an Irish author, and it's basically about Colm and Marianne, who go to the same school, and he's very popular, wealthy, And I believe her mom is the housekeeper for his family. But they go to the same school. And she obviously has not been privileged in the way that he's privileged. She like has trouble with like friends, and she's not very popular. She's kind of like an outcast at school. But somehow they kind of come into each other's orbit and develop feelings for each other. But that's difficult when they come from like, they're like one, they're from the wrong side of the track. So that's basically the kind of the premise for this. Like these two people have this draw and connection to each other, but they have nothing else in common. And kind of dealing with like the perception would be on them if they were out in public together, friends, more than friends, like people would talk. But it's a great book. It's also a great TV show. Brooklyn is also a movie, so there's that as well. I should throw that in there. But it's a great TV show and a really good book by Sally Rooney. The next book is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So this is like the thriller of the bunch, and I typically don't like thrillers, but I gave this 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. So it is set off, I'm sure they mentioned it in the book, but I can't recall, but it is set on an island off the coast of Ireland. So an island off of the island. And a kind of like power couple, like high society, high image wedding is going on there between a like rising TV star and a magazine publisher. So they're getting, he's the TV star, she's a magazine publisher. So they're getting married at this like remote Irish island. And yeah, so they obviously have like, everybody's like coming out on boats, and yeah, it's just this big private event. So everyone goes out to the island, and unfortunately the weather kind of has like a big change to it, and there's like a big storm. And then after the cake is cut, like basically find out that somebody's dead. Somebody has not survived. But there's throughout the book, of course, we're getting like a lot of people like meeting again after a long time, and jealousies and like vendettas and all this stuff is like are something to the surface. You're like, who did someone do something to someone? Was it these people with these issues or these people with these issues? So it's a thriller, and I really enjoyed it. And it's an interesting, as far as the setting in Ireland, it's on like a remote island off the coast of Ireland. So it's much more secluded than any of the other books on this list. So if that kind of like seclusion setting is interesting to you, this would be a good one. The next book is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. And she's also another person that sets a lot of her books in Ireland. And this is a historical fiction. It's when is it set? It's a long time ago. It's a historical fiction, and an English nurse is sent to this like impoverished, really like impoverished Irish town, and basically this family like lives in a dirt hut, and she's sent there because she's meant to find out what's going on with their 11-year-old daughter Anna, who seems to have not eaten for months, but is in great health. Like she's not wasting away, like she's healthy, she's good, but she has claimed that she has not eaten for months. And the nurse is kind of sent there to like debunk her. She's like, there's no way this is possible. But people are kind of seeing it as like a religious event, like a miracle, like that she's had some kind of calling or she's a sign from God or something. So this nurse is determined to figure out what's going on because there's no way this could be real. So the nurse is like taking care of her, taking all of her notes, like her, taking her vitals, like trying to like watch her. Like someone has to be watching her at all times to make sure she's not sneaking food to get notoriety. People are coming, like making like pilgrimage to her to like drop off like valuables and stuff because they like think she's like some kind of like messiah or something. So it's a really interesting book. And honestly, through a lot of it, you're like, is this real? Sometimes you're like, is this real? And then you're like, it can't be real. Is this real? No. Yes. No. Yes. Is this like just a big hoax, or is this like some kind of supernatural thing going on here? So it was really good, and it's also a movie. The next book should be no surprise, and that's Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. So this is about Frank McCourt's own experiences growing up in Limerick, Ireland, under extremely impoverished circumstances. So his mother doesn't have the money to feed him and his siblings. His dad doesn't work, and when he does work, he like drinks all of the money. So they really struggle. I've read this book so long ago, like it was when I was on Goodreads. And the thing I remember so much about it is how he always talks about, I believe it's the River Shannon, that like the River Shannon that kills. He always like calls it like the River Shannon that kills because it's so like damp all the time in Limerick that you get sick all the time. And like when he has like these young siblings that are getting sick all the time, there's only so much you can do because of like the environment, like the environment that, you know, that they're under and they're not getting nourished and stuff like that. So it's very depressing. It's a very sad book, but it is the reality of his life. And kind of like he talks about his like saving grace is like storytelling and stories. So that's like where he finds like solace in his life. Yeah, it's a classic. If you haven't read Angela's Ashes, you have to. The last book I'm going to recommend is one of my favorite nonfiction books. It's amazing. And that is Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. Long name, long title. So I just wanted to read it all so I didn't get it messed up. I just call it Say Nothing. I actually have it on my shelf back there. And this is a nonfiction about, let me just read a little bit of it so I can get all the details correct. In December 1972, Jean McConville, a 38-year-old mother of 10, was dragged from her Belfast home by masked intruders, her children clinging to her legs. They never saw her again. Her abduction was one of the most notorious episodes of the vicious conflict known as the Troubles. Everyone in the neighborhood knew the IRA was responsible, but in a climate of fear and paranoia, no one would speak of it. The author kind of like is talking about the Troubles, and he kind of happens to solve her murder along the way. He finds who member of the IRA actually killed her, and like does all this research, and he kind of like unravels this particular woman's murder. And like there's a lot of people called like that disappeared during the Troubles. And this, I was so like caught my attention, this book, because my husband is from Belfast. You know, he grew up there in the 90s when things were tough, a little bit like kicking up again from the 70s. So this was very interesting to me. I read it. He read it immediately after me. And like, it's just such a good book about the conflict in Northern Ireland, then and now, honestly. Yeah, it's so good. There's like the culture of like, fear and like not saying any, if you see some, you know, that saying, if you see something, say something. Seeing something and not saying something, like for your own safety and maybe your own loyalties to, depending on what you saw, who you're loyal to. So I think this is a really digestible book about the Troubles, which is a very complex conflict. And I think it also like is made so personal by Jean Conville's personal story and like what she went through. Like we're looking at this entire conflict through the lens of this one lady's murder. And yeah, it's a great nonfiction if you are even remotely interested in the Northern Ireland conflict. So I've read more books that were set in Ireland, but those were like the ones that like really stuck with me and I can like really like recall a lot of the details about. So I hope some of these are interesting to you. If you made it to the end of this video, give me some like shamrocks. Give me some shamrocks and rainbows and pots of gold. Oh, my husband's gonna be like, oh my God. Stereotypical. Yeah, give me some shamrocks, then pots of gold and rainbows in the comments if you made it to the end of this video. So that's all for me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, please be sure to stop into our productivity and reading sprints that we have about twice a week. In the description box below, you'll find my Goodreads, my Instagram wish list, all the things are down there for you. Yeah, that's all for me, and I'll see you next time.